Why the forehead, not the armor? Because Scripture treats the forehead as the governance seat of identity. Hit that, and the giant collapses. David bent down to the brook in the valley of Elah and selected 5 smooth stones. Yet when the moment came, he deployed only one, and it struck Goliath in a place so precise the text repeats it twice. The stone struck the Philistine in his forehead and sank into his forehead. You were taught this as courage defeating size, but the passage is encoding something else, a mechanism so specific that it catalogs every piece of Goliath's armor yet forces your attention to one target, the forehead. If you've ever felt your attention scattered across 1,000 distractions while an inner voice of fear or accusation taunts you relentlessly, you know what it's like to stand paralyzed in that valley for 40 days. What if those 5 stones correspond to your 5 senses, and the forehead strike maps to a precise inner location where ego consciousness maintains its command? We're going to map each verse detail to the inner temple, the forehead as the frontal region where I believes it resides, the 5 stones as the sensory gates that must converge, the valley as the low state where transformation begins. By the end, you'll have 2 practices pulled directly from the passage, one for gathering your scattered senses like David gathered stones, and one for placing focused attention at the space the text targets, the seat where the giant of self-identification falls. Here's the mechanism the passage is teaching. When the 5 senses, normally scattered outward serving material consciousness, gather into unified inward attention and strike the forehead region where ego identity maintains its command, the giant of I am the body consciousness collapses under its own weight. And here's the verse detail that unlocks it. Verse 49 specifies the forehead twice in one sentence and uses a Hebrew verb that can echo the drowning of Pharaoh's army in the Red Sea, suggesting this isn't a surface blow, but a penetrating liberation, an exodus from ego bondage. Let's go to the scene. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 3. 2 armies face each other across the valley of Elah. The Philistines stand on one mountain, Israel on another, and there's a valley between them. This valley, the lowland, the humble place, is where the battle occurs. Not on mountain peaks. The descent. Remember that. Your inner battles don't happen in moments of spiritual ecstasy. They happen in low places, in what feels like defeat. And into this valley steps the giant. Verse 4 through 7 give us the inventory. Goliath of Gath, towering, extraordinary in height. A bronze helmet on his head, a coat of scale armor, an enormous weight of metal. Bronze greaves covering his legs. A bronze javelin slung between his shoulders. A spear with a shaft like a weaver's beam and a heavy iron head. And walking in front of him, a shield bearer. 6 elements, everything defended. Helmet protecting the head, mail covering the torso, greaves on the legs, javelin and spear in arm's reach, shield bearer creating a moving wall. The text catalogs the armor, then insists twice on the target, the forehead. For 40 days, verse 16, Goliath presented himself morning and evening with the same challenge. 40 is the biblical cycle of transformation. Moses on the mountain 40 days, Jesus in the wilderness 40 days, Israel in the desert 40 years. Goliath's taunting for 40 days mirrors the ego's relentless voice that keeps you paralyzed, that daily presents the same accusations, the same fears, the same certainty of your inadequacy. And how does Israel respond? Verse 24. When they saw the man, they fled from him and were terrified. The armies of Israel represent spiritual thoughts, intentions, aspirations. They're frozen. Fear is the giant's primary weapon. He doesn't need to fight, he just needs to show up and speak. The intimidation does the work. Goliath's challenge in verses 8 and 9 is winner take all. Choose a man. If he kills me, we'll serve you. If I kill him, you serve us. no middle ground, no compromise. And inner battles work the same way. Consciousness either serves the ego or the ego serves consciousness. There's no negotiation. Into this paralysis comes David. Verse 17 and 18. Jesse sends his youngest son with food for the older brothers. David arrives without agenda, simply carrying provisions. He's the innocent consciousness that awakens when you become as little children. And David asks the question no one else will ask. Verse 26. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Not, how will I defeat him, but why are we tolerating this? The question itself is the first strike. Even the geography preaches. The battle happens in the low place. Your descents aren't outside the pattern. Why does the text inventory every piece of Goliath's armor? Bronze helmet, coat of mail, greaves, javelin, spear, shield bearer, yet force your attention to one specific target, the forehead? We'll answer that shortly. David selected 5 smooth stones from the brook. The traditional answer is backup ammunition, or Goliath's 4 brothers. But there's a 5-fold pattern woven through Scripture that unlocks this. We're tracking it now. Saul tried to dress David in his own armor, verse 38 and 39, bronze helmet, coat of mail, sword. But David said, I cannot go with these, for I have not tested them, and he took them off. Why? Because the ego cannot be defeated with ego's methods. What David reaches for instead changes everything. Verse 40. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip, and his sling was in his hand. David selects from flowing water. These aren't any stones, they're smooth, polished by friction. The brook's current has worn them, refined them, made them true in flight, no longer raw. Inner parallel. Your senses must be refined through discipline, not left in their raw state. Untrained senses serve the ego. Trained senses become instruments of spirit. David didn't grab any stones. He chose smooth ones. Discernment precedes deployment. Why 5? The traditional answers work on the surface. Maybe backup ammunition. You don't know if you'll miss. Maybe preparation for Goliath's 4 giant relatives mentioned in 2 Samuel 21, verses 15 through 22. 5 total giants, 5 stones. Valid readings. But the text opens a deeper door. 5 appears throughout Scripture as a pattern. 5 books of Moses, the complete Torah. 5 sacrificial offerings in Leviticus. The tabernacle altar measured 5 cubits square. Many read 5 as a pattern of wholeness and divine ordering across Scripture. When you see 5, you're being invited to recognize a pattern. And here's the correspondence. 5 physical senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. The 5 gates of perception through which you experience the world. Normally, they scatter your attention outward. Your eyes chase images. Your ears track sounds. Your skin registers sensations. Your tongue tastes. Your nose smells. 5 streams pulling in different directions, serving material consciousness, feeding the identification with body and world. In the inner temple, these 5 sensory channels function like David's 5 stones. Powerful when gathered, useless when scattered. And if you want a light body parallel, at the base of your spine sits the sacrum, the sacred bone, formed by exactly 5 fused vertebrae. This is inner temple correspondence, symbolic parallel, not medical diagnosis. Smooth versus rough. Raw stones won't fly true. David chose stones the water had refined. Your senses, too, require refinement. The scatter must be disciplined, not suppressed, not denied, but gathered, trained, made smooth. And notice the shepherd's bag detail in verse 40. He places the stones in readiness. They're not immediately deployed. Gathered first, refined first, carried in stillness. released at the right moment. This is the contemplative sequence. You don't rush into battle with scattered tools. You gather, you refine, you wait for alignment. But here's the hinge. David uses only one stone. 5 gathered, 1 released. The text is showing you convergence. All 5 senses must unify into single-pointed attention. When the eye is single, and here's an echo of Matthew 6, verse 22, the whole body fills with light. Scattered perception cannot defeat the giant. It's powerless. But unified awareness dissolves the giant instantly. But why does David's single stone target the forehead specifically? The text's insistence on this detail isn't an accident. Watch this. Goliath advanced toward David with his shield-bearer in front, and when he saw David, verse 41 and 42, a boy, ruddy and handsome, he despised him. The giant's contempt is the ego's last defense. This small thing cannot defeat me. Watch where the contempt blinds him. Verse 49, and David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead. Twice, the forehead, not chest, not throat, not belly, forehead. Helmet or not, the text is explicit about the target, twice, the forehead. Why this spot specifically? In Scripture, the forehead is the conspicuous place, the prominent front. The face you show the world. In biblical symbolism, the forehead is the seat of identity. Phylacteries were bound there. The high priest wore a gold plate on his forehead engraved Holiness to the Lord. Exodus 28, verses 36 through 38. What you wear on your forehead represents what governs your consciousness. The forehead also appears in Scripture as the seat of boldness or shame. Ezekiel 3, verses 7 through 9, speaks of an obstinate forehead. Cain received a mark on his forehead. Revelation speaks of a seal on the forehead. The forehead is where identity is marked, where allegiance is displayed, where the governing principle sits visible. Goliath wore bronze there, the material of earthly strength. And this is the paradox. He had armor everywhere. Bronze helmet, coat of mail covering his torso, greaves on his legs, javelin and spear in arm's reach, shield-bearer walking ahead. Comprehensive defense. Yet the text insists on one specific target zone. In inner temple correspondence, the forehead maps to the front-of-mind command seat, where I am the body, I am the doer, I am separate consciousness maintains authority. When you think about yourself, notice where the felt sense of me localizes. For most people, it's somewhere in the head region, often toward the front. Close your eyes right now and think about yourself. Where does that sense of I seem to gather? This is the giant's command seat in the inner temple. Between the brows, Scripture gives us its own geography. The single eye that Jesus speaks of in Matthew 6, verse 22. The mark and seal imagery of Revelation. The place where identity is governed. You don't need additional frameworks. The text already targets this zone as the seat of consciousness. And here's the insight. Ego cannot armor this point. Material defenses, logic, justification, intellectualization, all the thought structures represented by Goliath's bronze and iron can protect the body-identified self everywhere except at the seat of awareness itself. You cannot armor consciousness with thought. The command seat must remain open, which makes it the unavoidable opening. The precision of the strike matters. Not chest, the emotional center. Not belly, the instinct center. Not throat, the expression center. Forehead. The text is teaching targeting. The giant falls when awareness strikes its own source, the location where ego identification believes it resides. And the text repeats it for emphasis. Struck the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead. Twice in one sentence. This isn't poetic variation. It's insisting you notice the exact zone. Goliath's contempt in verse 42 creates his blindness. He despised David because he judged by appearance, size, youth, beauty. Ego always judges by externals and misses the precision instrument. Contempt is the blind spot. The bronze helmet is mentioned in verse 5, but not when the stone strikes in verse 49. The text goes silent about head protection at the moment of impact. The command seat, for all its defenses elsewhere, cannot be materially defended. The stone doesn't just hit, it sinks into his forehead. That verb can echo the drowning image from Exodus, Pharaoh's army submerged in the Red Sea. What kind of strike this is, and what it accomplishes, becomes clear in the next detail. As Goliath moved closer to attack, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Verse 48 and 49. He reached into his bag, took out a stone, slung it, and the text slows down for the impact. One convergence, one strike, one result. The verb matters. It means to sink, to settle, to drown, to be submerged. And it can echo Exodus 15, verse 4. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he hurled into the sea, and the elite of his officers drowned in the Red Sea. The same drowning language. The stone striking Goliath's forehead isn't a glancing blow. It's not a surface wound. It's a drowning. A complete engulfment. A liberation event. The Red Sea crossing was exodus from slavery to freedom. Goliath's forehead is exodus from ego bondage to awareness. The enemy that kept you enslaved sinks the same way. This is inner Passover. Why does sank into matter? It implies depth, penetration, permanence. The stone doesn't bounce off bronze or deflect off bone. It embeds itself, settles. Inner parallel. When unified attention strikes the ego's command seat, it's not temporary relief. It's a structural shift. Something irreversible happens. And here's where the anatomy of convergence comes in. When your five senses normally operate, they fragment attention outward. Eyes chasing images on screens. Ears tracking sounds from multiple sources. Skin registering temperature, pressure, texture. Tongue tasting remnants of meals. Nose catching scents drifting past. Five streams pulling in different directions. But in the contemplative path, the inner temple practice David models, you gather those five streams. You withdraw them from external objects. You unify them into single-pointed inward focus. That unified beam strikes the seat where ego consciousness maintains command. It doesn't argue with the ego, doesn't fight it with force. It simply penetrates to the source, and the giant sinks. 5-1. 5 stones gathered, 1 stone released. This is the visual diagram of convergence. Scattered equals powerless. Unified equals irresistible. Not through magnitude, through precision. And notice verse 50. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. The weapon isn't material combat. Sword represents hand-to-hand engagement. David's weapon is distance awareness, the sling. You don't fight ego at close range. You observe it from space, from the witnessing position, and release focused attention. The speed of the fall confirms this. 1 stone, instant collapse. He fell upon his face to the earth, verse 49. Ego doesn't require prolonged dismantling. It requires one well-placed act of seeing. The giant has been holding its ground through intimidation, not actual strength. And the stone came from the brook, living waters. The instrument that defeats ego is refined by the flow of spirit, not manufactured by will. You don't create the stone. You gather what the current has already polished. Goliath falls face down, the collapse posture. But David isn't finished. What he does next with Goliath's own weapons reveals the final implication. So David triumphed with a sling and a stone and killed the Philistine, verse 50. But there was no sword in David's hand. Therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of its sheath, and cut off his head. The ego's weapons turned against him. He fell upon his face to the earth. Verse 49. The surrender posture. Face down collapse, prostration. The giant doesn't stagger or retreat. He collapses forward, complete submission. And David stands over him. Positional shift. What was above, giant, intimidating from height, is now beneath. Giant fallen, David standing over. Consciousness reclaims authority over ego structure. Verse 51. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. Goliath's own sword. David uses the giant's weapon to sever his head. Inner parallel. The ego's tools, logic, will, assertion, turned against it. You don't need external methods. The giant carries its own undoing. Beheading is separation of head from body. Command seat severed from material apparatus. Ego loses its ruling authority. The body identification structure remains, but it no longer governs. This is decapitation of the false I, not annihilation of personhood. You still function. You still engage the world, but the governing voice has changed. Verse 52. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. The stranger thoughts, Philistines, outsiders, the uncircumcised, that reinforced ego dominance scatter the instant the champion falls. Fear-based thoughts lose their cohesion. Israel pursues. Spiritual thoughts reclaim territory. The valley where this occurred, the lowland, the humble place, maps to low consciousness states. The felt sense of being down in the dumps in a valley of shadow. Your battles don't happen on mountain peaks of ecstasy. They happen in descents, depressions, dark nights. That's not failure of practice. That's where transformation occurs. The valley is the crucible. And Goliath's armor, bronze, iron, layered defenses, maps to the ego's psychological structures. Rationalization, justification, intellectualization, all the ways I protects itself from seeing clearly. Yet none of it could armor the awareness seat. The command seat remains the unavoidable opening because consciousness cannot be defended with thought. Final implication. You don't defeat the giant by becoming bigger than it, by out-armoring it, by matching its weapons. You defeat it through precision. One stone, one strike, to the one point that cannot be defended. And the instrument is what you already carry, your own refined senses, gathered and unified. David takes Goliath's head to Jerusalem, verse 54. The text places the head in Jerusalem. Some notice timeline compression here. Inwardly, it reads as this. Jerusalem means city of peace, the consciousness state you're moving toward. You carry the severed head of ego into your future peace. The victory here guarantees the establishment there. David kept Goliath's armor in his tent, verse 54. He didn't destroy it, kept it as memorial. The ego's structures don't vanish. They remain as tools, no longer governing, but available when needed. You don't annihilate personality. You decapitate its rulership. We've walked through the passage. Now we mirror it. Two practices pulled directly from the text. The first practice is David at the brook, gathering 5 smooth stones from flowing water. First, find stillness like David standing at the brook's edge. Seated position. No striving. Let your body settle. Notice the ambient sound. Notice the light on closed eyelids. Notice where your body contacts the seat. Second, notice where your attention scatters across the 5 senses. What are your eyes tracking? What sounds pull your ears? What sensations register on skin? What tastes linger? What scents drift past? Name the 5 streams: sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. This is noticing before you choose. Third, withdraw each sense from its external object, like selecting smooth stones from the brook. Not suppressing, gathering. Sight returns inward. Hearing returns inward. Touch, taste, smell, each stream collected and placed in the shepherd's bag. You're refining attention, making it smooth, separating it from its usual outward pull. Fourth, rest in the convergence like David with stones in readiness. 5 streams becoming one pool of awareness. The unified stone before release. Duration, 3 to 5 minutes. Repeat daily for 1 week. The second practice is the forehead strike, the single stone to the single target. First, once your senses have gathered, locate where I seems to reside. For most, somewhere in the head region, often toward the front. Not thinking about it, sensing it. Where does me gather? Second, place gentle attention there like releasing the stone from the sling. One smooth act. Not gripping, releasing. The sling does the work. You just aim at the command seat, the place where ego consciousness believes it rules. Third, observe what's there like David watching the stone's flight. Not analyzing, witnessing. The space where I am the body, I am the doer, maintains its seat. What does it feel like? Solid? Spacious? Contracted? Just see. Fourth, notice if the giant wavers like Goliath struck in the forehead. Does solidity soften under direct seeing? Does self-identification sink under unified attention? Don't grasp, just aim. The image is clear, the stone penetrates. The giant falls forward. Duration, 2 to 3 minutes after the first practice. If this feels intense, ease off. Return to simple breath. Keep it gentle, no forcing. David walked into the valley a shepherd boy and walked out a giant killer. Not because he became something he wasn't, but because he used what he'd already refined. Your senses are already smooth stones. Your awareness is already the sling. The giant already has one unavoidable opening, the point that matters. The passage isn't teaching you to become David. It's revealing you already are.